What's going on, guys? Evan the Dark Souls enthusiast here, bringing you the Dark Souls gameplay commentary back on the Xbox 360 after a long time of hiatus from the system and from Dark Souls in general. I am going to be showing all the players how to make an archer, or my specific build for an archer. I made an archer a long time ago and winded up deleting it for reasons I don't actually remember, but that's what happened. So when starting a new character, if you intend to follow my archer build, then you need to pick either a bandit or a warrior, as was previously revealed, and I'm going to cut out the Undead Asylum and other parts here and there because they're just really not that important. So this is going to be straight to the chase. In this video, this is going to be sort of similar to my gearing your character video, only this is going to be more about gearing your archer specifically. So you're going to want to take your starting souls and dump them into, I'd recommend Vitality or Endurance because they're very useful early game, and we're going to go on a very dangerous run down to the New Londo Ruins in order to obtain the Composite Bow, which, in my opinion, is the best bow in the game for player versus player or player versus engine, but I guess that's open to interpretation. The reason I like the Composite Bow is it has one of the fastest firing rates of bows. If I recall, the Dark Moon Bow, the Composite Bow, and the Short Bow all fired about the same rate, which is the fastest rate. Ferris Bow and some other things like that fire much slower. So I recommend before jumping off that elevator, you send it back up to the top, because the odds of you dying are about 100%. I have done this run without a death before, but there is actually no advantage to dying, because coming down to New Londo and confronting the ghosts at level 1, while doable, level 4 rather, while doable is not highly recommended. So I kind of punched this guy off the cliff just for fun. This is how you can get an early game S-Stock, which will be pretty useless because I'm actually going to turn this into a semi-complete, not really playthrough where I show all the boss fights and at least a journey through most of the areas in the game using a bow only. I know there's been other bow only runs on YouTube, so this isn't anything new, but doing an archer build is something I haven't done in a long time, and I don't think I've ever done a pure archer build through all the single player. I guess this isn't a quote-unquote purist build, only because I will probably use a weapon from time to time to cut off the tails of enemies, because I would like to have all the different items, or weapons rather, in the character's inventory as like one-ofs, just for the variety. One of the reasons I recommend doing the archer build that I'm going to showcase in this video and as I play through the single player is because I will be in fact using, and of course this is, you come over here to get a quick Firekeeper soul and you get cornered by the ghosts. Dying here is perfectly normal. I luck out completely, managed to get away from them, pop a couple flasks, and go run through the rest of the New Londo Ruins. Dying there is completely fine because you have no souls and nothing to lose. Actually rather advantageous because it will give you a chance to reinforce the flask with that soul I previously acquired. But in any case, this build will be sort of what I consider the ultimate maximum composite bow build, which is 40 strength, 40 dexterity, which is what most of the bows in the game scale off of, and 40 endurance for the maximum rolls and stuff like that. And actually surprised that you can actually get 50 vitality with that build, so you have pretty much the ultimate all-rounder build. Up ahead is the parrying dagger, for whatever reason you want that. Parrying dagger, not so useful for a bow user like me. Occasionally useful, but very rarely, because I'm not trying to do show off my ability to parry in the parrying windows of enemy attacks, because you can actually parrying dagger most attacks in the game to reduce all their damage. Not something I'm interested in showcasing, but some other great YouTubes out there showing that. YouTube videos out there, rather. So, right now, basically this whole quest is to obtain the composite bow, and after that we're going to go obtain arrows for our composite bow, and then we're going to go through the long, tedious, and potentially challenging quest of beating 99%, if not all, of the single player with only a bow. Something I've never done before, so I'm looking forward to it. A lot of players had asked me to consider a speed run, and speedruns are not really my thing. I like to take my time and just kind of enjoy the game. So anyway, at the end of this run here, you'll find the composite bow and a couple large arrows, which is kind of nifty considering large arrows aren't exactly the cheapest item to purchase from a vendor, particularly not early game. Buying arrows actually delays your leveling severely, yet another reason players I don't think use bows very often. But at this point, I recommend running around New Londo to the best of your ability, grabbing whatever items and souls you can before you die, because it's actually quicker just to jump off into the water and die than it is to actually run all the way out. While attempting this, it's pretty normal to die, you know, several times on the runs. This was a rather lucky / skillful run. I have it memorized. I know where I need to go and things like that. So if you guys are attempting this on your own Dark Souls copy, whether it be PlayStation 3, 360, or PC, dying over and over is in fact normal, so don't be despaired. You'll just respawn at the bonfire with nothing to lose, and that's why it's nice to spend those opening 2,000 souls, because it is very likely you'll lose them along the way. I would like to mention I haven't played Dark Souls on the Xbox 360 in quite some time, and you know, I'm having some real trouble with it, I must admit. I'm getting a little bit of delay and slow down, and we'll run back here and grab these transient curses. These will be useful later when I come back down here. Dodging the ghost pretty well. The worst thing is, with such little poise, they can stagger and kill you if you're not prepared to toggle swap, which most people aren't in single player. And of course, the neck slit there takes, what, 2/3 of my life in one blow, but not a big deal. Gonna run over here and grab the parrying dagger for giggles, and then throw my life away, because that's really all the items you can grab early on, except aside from maybe a couple consumable souls and things you can come back for later. Once again, if you're new to this, early game new Londo stuff, really the only priorities down there are the Composite Bow and the Firekeeper Soul. The Firekeeper Soul is pretty much a freebie, no challenge in getting that whatsoever. And then the rest of the run, and getting to the Composite Bow can be challenging. Sometimes the ghosts kind of stack up in front of you and block your path, so you need to pull them away from doorways so you can sneak through, or you can mash roll into their attacks and hopefully sneak past. Failing that, alternatives are to pop one transient curse and run up and fist a ghost out of the way, or stab it with your sword. I don't recommend trying to battle through the ghost, because you can wind up running out of transient curses, and you know, it's not particularly worth your time. So this run here is just sort of a sloppy run to a vendor with arrows, because not really looking to do this skillfully. I just want to grab an archer, get to the first vendor of the game, and buy my arrows for my bow only run. Completely unnecessary step if you're watching this video and just want to have access to an early game composite bow. And this video is a very viable and easy way to get a hold of one, but like I said, I was going through an all archer build, so I actually needed early game arrows so I could replay through these areas, because I'm a bit of a masochist and I like to grind through the game very, very slowly. And I'm going to grab a couple items here along the way, nothing that will make the remainder of the game easier, so it still should be a pretty pure challenge. I would argue that if you go through all the bosses and areas with a bow only, you've pretty much attained a bow only challenge. I don't even think grabbing all the items is necessary, because on an archer or bow only character, honestly, 99% of the items in the game are going to ultimately be useless. So grabbing early game souls, however, is very useful. And of course, I did leave quite a few consumables over in Firelink Shrine, which I will grab later on another video segment. Just priority of this video is sort of the introduction to the series and getting things together. Haven't uploaded Dark Souls in a while, and I can tell I'm a little sloppy. I used to have all the item locations 100% memorized. Now I just have the general vicinity of all items, which is still far more knowledgeable than my Demon Souls abilities, which I realized I remembered what all items were in the game, but not where to find all of them, so I guess my Demon Souls is a little dated. That's a playthrough I never finished on this channel, which is something I kind of regret, but maybe we'll go back to it sometime. Of course, Dark Souls 2 has been announced since my last video upload regarding Dark Souls. Pretty excited about that. I've been doing a lot of Dota 2 stuff. Haven't really got a lot of viewership or support for the Dota 2 series, which that's kind of disappointing, because I really enjoy Dota 2, but yeah, a niche for every audience. I did want to diversify my channel away from Dark Souls, and that is going to continue. But I decided that it would be fun to do another goofy playthrough on Dark Souls, and Little Archer would be, you know, pretty goofy. Pretty fun. I will PvP with the build once done, as is my tradition. Finish the single player with the build, and PvP till I get bored. Some other series I mentioned for Dark Souls that probably will be revisited are, I will revisit some old characters for PvP. It's I spent so long making them, I don't bottomless box glitch or dupe or anything like that. So it is a long process, and I'd like to go back and finish a couple odds ends one of these days, and I will definitely get around to that. So at this point, we're going to pop all our consumable souls so we can buy as many arrows as possible. I recommend maxing on wooden arrows, at least to kill the wear and tear enemies early on, and then use whatever souls you have left over to get large arrows, because eventually you're going to want to stockpile lots and lots of large arrows in order to fight bosses. I will give one fair warning about using the Composite Bow. is that the lock-on range is just slightly higher than the overall effective range of large arrows. So that can be a factor. And since people have messaged me, I wanted to take a chance to mention the Road to the Dark Moon video series is definitely going to come back, but that's on PlayStation 3, and I just wanted to play a little Dark Souls for a while, so definitely going to do that Road to the Dark Moon. And there you go, I'm all out of souls. As you can see, buying arrows is incredibly expensive early game, but just kind of part of the challenge and part of playing an archer. Of course, if you're doing this and you're not trying to do any kind of like challenge playthrough, it's much easier just to grab the composite bow and have access to it early game as opposed to the rest of this. So change my gear loadout slightly. Now I have enough endurance because the composite bow is actually like a pound. It's very light that I can run a heater shield, a composite bow, armor, and pants. Poor Noin is going to be missing gloves and a helmet. So if anyone can tell me what Noin is from without looking up on Google, I will be impressed, considering the days of Toonami have kind of passed. So to close out this video, I will go and reinforce my Estus Flask. Considering the amount of hits I'm probably going to take while I practice my spacing with the bow, it's probably going to be necessary. Short upload for Dark Souls today. The next upload will probably be the usual 30 minutes in length as I play through areas and zones and things like that and just dominate Dark Souls. So thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate your time, and I hope to see everyone next time.